Welcome back, y'all, to Disciple Diagnostics. You see this mess behind me? That's so you have an idea how messy this diag got and how it really beat me up. So you don't want to miss this. So the customer's concern for this 2022 Tacoma was that the vehicle wouldn't start even though they had replaced the battery. And the first thing I noticed that indeed it had a new battery, but yeah, the vehicle wouldn't start. And I had to go ahead and charge this battery. So then, after doing that, I'm gonna show you what I had. It's fixed now, but I'm recreating the same symptom that I got. So let me show you all. Because after replacing the battery, I will hit the ignition and I will get this message, which normally if you have the key inside the vehicle, it should come on, right? It should turn on. But in this case, I will have to hold the key to the ignition and boom. But that's not normal. And also I will hit the unlock function of the key and it wouldn't respond at all. So I'm gonna walk y'all through each step I took, and the first thing I did was to hook up the scanner and check for codes. So surprisingly, the first thing I noticed was that I didn't have a single permanent DTC on the smart unit. So I went there then and went to utility, and one of the first things I did was to perform a communication check, where basically this function is used to validate the communication between the transmitter and the receivers. So I basically, what you do is you go, you hit next, and then for example you can start with the driver's side, which is located here, and hit next, and then you basically hold the key close. You hold the key close to the oscillator. I don't know if y'all can hear the beep. And that tells you that the oscillator is getting the signal from the key. So then you can go back and repeat the same process, for example on the passenger side. No. I don't know if y'all can hear the beeping. So after checking the communication between the key and the receivers, I went to operation history in the smart unit, and basically it will show you each time you hit either the lock or unlock button from your remote, it will be recorded in the ECU, showing date, time, and everything. And this will tell you that the ECU, the smart unit, is receiving the signal from the key, which is vital information for a case like this. So another thing I did was to perform an ECU communication ID registration, where basically you register the communication between the ID code box ECU and the certification ECU. You go here and basically you follow the steps and perform a handshake between those ECUs. But anyway, I performed that whole I went through the whole process and still didn't work. I was still getting the same issue of the key, of pressing the lock function and the locks not responding, and also the vehicle not starting when not starting when hitting the ignition switch. So even though apparently the smart unit and the receivers were receiving signal from the key, I perform an additional test, which is to check the signal strength from the key. And I use this RF detector. Basically, you hit the lock or unlock button and it will tell you how strong the signal is, which in this case is perfect, as y'all can see. So another step I took was to check for aftermarket devices, because they could interfere with the communication. And basically the only thing I found was this charger, which I removed and but still got the same symptoms. So then I went ahead and started spending some time checking the data pits for the smart unit, but nothing was sticking out. I wasn't seeing anything really abnormal. Everything was checking okay. So I was starting to get a bit confused about this one. So I went back to utility and I basically erased, because I actually had two keys. So I erased one of them and left the other one registered and repeated the whole process, re-register the key and everything, but I didn't get any change after that. I then went to my wiring diagram and basically what I checked what were the main feeds, power feeds to the certification ECU. So I went ahead and checked them, but I got power on all the fuses. So that day I went home all confused because I didn't know where to check next. Think about it. I had the keys, the signal from the keys were strong. Also, I was getting a signal from the ECU. I mean, the ECU supposedly was receiving the signal. Same with the receivers. They were also responding. And so all the boxes were checking. So I was starting to get frustrated and losing direction on where to go and what to check next. So I went back the next day, and you will see what I found. So the next day I went back at it, and the first thing I got was that the vehicle, the battery was dead again, and the vehicle wasn't even trying to start. So I put a fully charged battery on, and this the fact that the battery got discharged again indicated me that there was a parasitic draw. So I was like, let me start by chasing this draw, because it could lead me to the other issue. So basically I hooked up I set up everything, had the doors closed, the hood, latch. Basically, let me show you. I had the hood latch closed like this. with also all the doors and everything. So I basically grabbed my amp clamp, zeroed it out, hook up my amp clamp, and I was getting like 1.5 amps of current draw. It even got to 2 amps at some point, which is like really bad and extreme parasitic draw. So I decided to chase that. So then I grab a thermal camera, and I don't know if y'all can see it, but basically one of the fuses was like pretty red, indicating that it was hot. So that fuse was this one right here, which I removed, and then let me show you all. So as you can see, the current draw went completely away. Like 21 milliamps is perfect. That's not a draw at all, a parasitic draw at all. So I checked the wiring diagram and found that that fuse was a feed to the mirror heaters. So I went ahead and unplugged them. So after unplugging these 2 mirrors, I basically reinstalled the fuse, repeated the current draw test, and I wasn't getting any longer a draw. But I was thinking, well, I have this relay right here, which is controlled by this ECU, the AC amplifier. So I was like, well, what if the amplifier for some reason is keeping the relay on all the time, which is then keeping this circuit hot all the time. So I was like, let me go ahead and inspect this relay. So I removed all this to basically gain access to the relay I wanted to inspect. But when I got this out, look what I found. Check this out. I don't know if you can see, but basically got burned relays. So I replaced the burned relays with new ones. I then proceed to repeat my parasitic current draw test, and I confirmed that I no longer had a draw. So I no longer had a draw, current draw, parasitic draw, but I still had the same issue of the key not being detected. My next step was to basically go over there underneath, and since there was a clear indication of water intrusion, which caused these relays getting shorted and burned, and I went ahead and started inspecting underneath all the connectors and all the area, and let me show you what I found. So as you can see, I found more indication of water intrusion. You see all the rust, but I then went over here and look at this connector. I kept on unplugging connectors, and to inspect, and I kept finding indications of water intrusion. So long story short, pretty much the whole harness got affected by the water intrusion. But then I did something that maybe wasn't the best idea, but here's the thing. I started plugging the connectors back, and you will see. So after plugging all those connectors back, which maybe I shouldn't have, or maybe I shouldn't have unplugged them in the first place. Here's the thing. I went back, and boom, now the vehicle started. And also, I got a response from the keys. So then I went and I will try to, then I will wiggle the harness and mess with the connectors and push on them and pull and everything. But no matter how much I try, it was still now starting every time. So at this point, I knew something, that harness was definitely in need of replacement. That's a fact. But the thing is, it was kind of frustrating not being able to find the exact root cause of the problem, to know exactly where it was failing, which I don't like that at all. But in a situation like this, I don't know, drop in the comments what would you have done, because again, it doesn't matter how much I try to press on the connectors, pull on them, I unplug them a couple times again, and every time it will start back on like nothing happened. So in this case, again, I was a bit frustrated not being able to find exactly what was the connector that was causing the issue, but I had evidence that there was definitely water intrusion and that all the harness was definitely affected. So no question about it, we needed a new harness. But I talked to my foreman about this, and he mentioned that it's pretty common on this when they have an aftermarket windshield, that those leak and they can cause all sorts of weird issues, which in this case we did have an aftermarket windshield. So in this case, we gave the customer two options: to either start by removing all the crusty greens from the affected connectors, or replacing the harness, since we know and we have proof that it has been definitely affected by the water intrusion. But in this case, we'll also need to replace the aftermarket windshield to prevent from more water getting into and causing all that mess. So I hope y'all like this video, and see y'all in the next one.